Hey everybody, welcome to week 2, or yes, week 1 technically, but the second part of the power rankings. This week it is just me, no Ryan this week, but this week we're going to be looking over the power rankings and where we put everybody. We're going to start at the bottom, just like we did last time, starting with Clay. There's really not that much to say about your match because realistically, you kind of just got swept, like really bad. It wasn't close, um, and you just kind of let him set up in your face here. Once you see, he free switches into Como, and then you stay in on this. Yeah, and then he stayed in again. So after this, there's really nothing that you can do because he's set up on your face. He's faster than everything on your team by a good amount, and you have to hit him at least twice because you got to get rid of the sub. But yeah, so that being said, we put you there because you kind of it just in future reference, it would probably be best to be ready for someone to set up on you, especially with like a Pokemon like Como, where that's what is it's used for a lot, and not to let it set up on you in your face. But yeah, that being said, we put you there, and kind of with Kenny, you played basically flawlessly, but you were handed the win, so that's why you didn't get the first place. So Kenny was really good because he brought a set that was able to sweep through everything and knew he needed to get to ×2 to outspeed and to do a certain amount of damage for each Pokemon on your team. So props to Kenny. And then up to Daily L. So with Daily, your team this week, you weren't able to get the trades in for your team, which, that's understandable as to why it would be a little bit harder. Is this one? Yeah. So you weren't able to get the trades in, so you still had Mega B, and you didn't have who else did you trade for? Necrozma. So you didn't have Necrozma or Swampert, which really would have helped you in this matchup. But the Ditto set was funny, and you put up a good fight. But I mean, in the end, there just wasn't a lot that was understood. Like this move, switching in after doing that, interesting. Um, yeah, and then basically switching out immediately as well, just to take the hit. But yeah, some of these were a bit strange. And you almost had it with this, the setup. But then, where is it? After setting up all of this, yeah, it just didn't work out. So we put you down there for that one. You also didn't have the person you played against didn't also play that great. Being Will, Will didn't play that great. Will does have one of the better teams. We said he has the 4th best team. So with that, it's okay. But he really didn't play up to the competition there, and kind of let you walk over him for a little while, and then eventually got the 3-0. With Pokey, your team just didn't work out very well this week, and along with that, you played Pitt, and Pitt really, I think, Pitt played probably the worst out of all the people who won this week. But Wailord was a funny bring here. And Pokey, you did okay considering that Pitt does have one of the hardest groupings to get through. So Yeah, I'm really not trying to make this a long video because there's not that much that needs to be explained. Everyone's probably watched all the matches. You know what you really need to improve on. But, I mean, yeah, you let him set up here too. But you were able to get Zygarde out of there. You sacked off Sableye for it. Oh man, but here Zerora kind of, yeah, went through that. Well, Cephalon could have done really well here, but that trick was interesting. I mean, you put it on Mantine. Probably not the best one to have put it on, to be honest, but and this match ended up going a long time, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, it was a Florges Toxapex stall battle. Yeah. It's 90 turns, holy cow. I mean, in the end, happens, but yep. Then we got Lewis. Oh, Lewis. The fraud. Lewis the fraud, week 1 versus Brian. Brian called it out, said he would beat you, and then he did. You didn't play horribly, but this right here was it didn't make really any sense to stay in there. I mean, sacking Empoleon turn 2. Strange. You played really good with Venusaur. Dactyl did wonders against your team, so you had to fight uphill, definitely, especially considering you had a really good defensive core, but had like no offense to really take out Dactyl, and Dactyl, counter your Mega and whatnot. But setting up rocks was really good for you. You were able to do that, and it worked out. You were able to take out Coco on the switch in, but that also there, don't really know why he switched into that. It didn't make a lot of sense, to be honest. He was probably going to switch in a U-turn, but even that, I don't know why he would have done that. Just to get a free Hydreigon in? Not sure. So Brian didn't play that great against you, but you also really did not play that great against him. I mean, yeah. There were just things that you should have done faster, like you could have switched out of Mienshao to keep it alive against Hydreigon, which would have been good, or not switching into Flygon, because you knew you got outsped and there's a high chance he was running Ice Fang, because you had Hydreigon, or not Hydreigon, Flygon. It would have just made a lot more sense to just switch into Venusaur if you knew it was going to kill. Or if you had Scarf Victini, I don't remember what your set was, but after this, then Darm comes in, cleans up Venusaur. Victini kind of gave a good run for the money here, kind of saved your record a little bit, but that's about it. I mean, eventually this just happens. Yeah. So Lewis got put pretty low because you kind of got called out and happened. Brian got put there. Brian didn't play that great, but he also had a really good matchup against you. Or not really, a pretty good matchup against you. Dactyl is a good Pokemon to have. It's very fast and it hits hard and it countered your Mega. And he played to beat you and he beat you. So then Ryan versus Ray Ray. Ryan played what we put as the number 1 team for the week. Where is it? Down here. And it was a closer match than you would have expected, but you got 5-0. I think nothing died for the first 20 turns, right? 20, 23, 25, 26. Oh, wow. 30, 31. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Sacking off Jolteon at turn 35, 36, 37, maybe? Yeah, here we go. Switching into a Moonblast from Lele. Lele did really good in this matchup and was not used at all. Ryan knows that. He should have used Lele a lot more, especially when going into Lucha. Like he could have been going into. Yeah, I mean, like Lele stays in here against Quagsire for the most part instead of having to switch in and out with Lucha every single time. You played well with Vaporeon. You were able to make the battle last. I mean, you got burned on Krook, which is really especially after Serena goes, you're really not really because of your set, but actually Lucha's there too. One of your main good physical attackers against this team. With Intimidate, which is basically all you kind of used it for after this. It was just to use it for Intimidate, which still doesn't do all that great. And then switching into Lucha here instead of Lele, as the Quagsire switch in, and you have to U-turn out, and then you go into Vaporeon. So there was a lot of things that were going on here that probably could have just been played better. But it happened. So you got 5-0'd by your underling, basically. And so you get put lower on the rankings. Kian, you played me. Psyshock didn't happen. We already know how this match goes. The matchup was interesting, to say the least. The Zard Y versus Zard X matchup. Swirlix was good, but you didn't prepare for me to have brought Defog against your team. But yeah, I mean, Sticky Web was a good move, especially since my speed tiers are pretty good. But once, I don't even know why I set up rocks there. I knew I was going to defog, but either way. Oh, actually, no, I do know why. Because I was waiting for Zard to come in. But you used your team pretty well, but you let certain things get killed off fast. Should have kept Zard alive. I mean, Zard did really, really good against my team. It was the biggest threat against my team overall, but you switched into a T-Bolt, which was pretty bad. But once that happened, Meloetta countered, and there wasn't too much you could do against it. So switching out back into Latias, this kind of went the way it was supposed to go. But I mean, you had a Draco did 30% or something. So, Meloetta just did really good against your team. And Mamo scared you a good amount, but Ironhead did not do that much there. Wow, I forgot. It did like nothing. Realistically, I think a better game plan would have just been to focus on killing Meloetta, because Meloetta did, like I said, so good against your team. But, oh man, and that thing missed there too. So eventually you kill it off here. There goes my biggest threat to your Latias and Charizard. But then I'm able to just switch in here and just pretty much take out what you got set up here. Either way, obviously you would have won if you had ran Psychic or Psyshock. I said Psychic on Latias. I know you said you were going to, but it didn't happen. So there you go. That's why we put Kian at 11. Then Faded. Faded this week, man. Your team is interesting. I'll give you that. That's for sure. Which one is Faded here? Faded is... Oh, yeah, versus David. Yep. David played really well against you. Where did we put David? Yeah, 2. You had to fight uphill a lot with this team. Cofagrigus was a great bring. I didn't think you played all that bad, but you really didn't play all that great. I mean, David played really well against you. So your team kind of just didn't add up. I mean, it was a bad matchup for you, like I said, because Zam and Garchomp do really good against your team. Felt you could have done more with Lopunny, but you did good. You did good with Lopunny, but got it toxic there, which is pretty devastating because it ended up just getting killed off without actually taking out anything, I don't think. Oh, no, you took out Zam. My bad. Or did... Yeah. But Zam was also going to die from toxic. So you got the kill with it, but probably wouldn't have stayed in on Amoonguss. I think the safer bet would have been to go to probably, I don't know, maybe Zapdos or something. But yep. So yeah, you kind of got all your offense killed off pretty early with Lopunny and Volcarona going. Your offense is pretty low, and I mean, you already showed the ice, HP ice there, so he knows not to stay in with that. And at this point, it was just about killing the Zapdos, and once the Zapdos was gone, it was over, really, I think. Yeah, and there it goes. Flinch was upsetting because I think HP Ice probably would have killed because Yachi Berry was already eaten. So I was upset. That was a bit of hacks there, but you know, Sleepy Cofagrigus, and then the toxic on there. Yeah, that's all she wrote. So you didn't play real bad, but I mean, second best out of all the people who lost. Rystinye. Let's see, where's your fight at? Oh, yeah, you played Pupper, I believe, right? Yep. So in this matchup, you played pretty good. You played really good. I mean, I think Pupper has one of the best teams. Obviously, I think we said him like top 2. Yeah, top 2. Which he's about to face off the other top 2 team, Brian, this upcoming week, which will be interesting. But with that being said, you did really good. You had a good matchup against him, but you still played good. Magmortar was a fun bring for your team, but gets minus attack there. So, yep, minus attack back. Double edge. Recoil. Yeah. You've got a lot of things going on with this match. Crit there. I think the crit mattered, but I'm not sure. Suicune ended up doing really good here too, I believe. Rest. Is he gonna sleep talk? I forget. No, he just stays rested. Pupper had to basically sack off, like get the Heatran down to 11 just to get rid of Magmortar because Wash was gone. Magmortar did really good against the rest of the team. Attack there. HP ground probably. Yep. HP ground again. But revenge kills with the iron. The Iron Ball was here's the biggest reason of something about how you played. You brought Klefki just to Iron Ball trick the Nidoking. And that's really one of the only things it would work on for the Iron Ball. And I don't know, I was scratching my head with that move because that's all you brought it for, is how I saw it. And I was like, Klefki could have done so many other things against this team with Prankster, you know, and I think there's so many other options for you to have used it for, and you just kind of let it get sacked off like really early on. In the end, Bulu did really good here, especially since Suicune was asleep. Or Leech, yeah. Not much you can do here because he's asleep, but sack it off, and then it's faster. And then it's poisoned. Zen Headbutt Miss was unfortunate, but I don't think it would have mattered in the end anyways. So that's where I would put you there. Pit, we already kind of talked about why you're there. You played the worst out of everyone who won. You had a good matchup. You have one of the best cores in the game, and you still only won by 2. especially against this matchup. Yeah, I mean, like, you let it get to a stall battle, and your team is really not supposed to get into that kind of position, but it was there. And so for that reason, 8. You still won, so you're top 50% for winning. Good job for winning. But yeah. And then Will over Daly. I mean, you had the easiest like team matchup because his team didn't make any sense, to be honest. Because he didn't have his trades in yet. Oh wow, I was looking at the wrong team. It was Necrozma. He didn't get Necrozma. He got Masquerain, I believe, right? I forget. But either way, Mega Scizor instead of B changes his team up a lot, and because you were able to fight him before that was traded, you had a good matchup. You didn't play that great, but you played good enough to get the win, and you got a 2-0 win, I believe, right? Oh no, 3-0. Yep. So you are actually probably in one of the higher spots on the list, right? Yeah, you are number 1 right there for now. But yeah, so good job with that. And then going up, Brian, and you called out Lewis, but Lewis played pretty bad. I mean, pretty bad. You have a good team. Your team did well against his. I mean, you countered his team pretty straight through. I mean, Dactyl did incredible against his team. Just all the way through, really. And Coco did too. I mean, your core just outdid his core. So you had a great matchup. And other people believe that they could have done better with your team. I believe that you could have done better with your team. I think you played pretty recklessly and you got yourself 1-2. You probably should have gotten a 4. You should have gotten a 4, actually. You sacked off like 2 months against Victini there at the end, so should have had a 4. Me, I think, given the matchup against Kian's team was really good. I was obviously hoping for Ryan to have to explain this, but I think a lot of the things were just Kian not being prepared for what I was bringing with the defog, and he just wasn't ready for the Metalwada being that good against his team, I guess, because the bad switch-ins, but being able to predict and basically shut out Charizard Y, his biggest offensive weapon, against my team, because Zard Y did really good, was probably the best thing to do there. Yeah. And then going into the top 4, Pupper, you played good, only got a 2-0. You played, obviously, probably the best person who lost, so we put you there because it was a 2-0, and all these others were also really good battles. I mean, David played really well against Faded, and Ray played, 5-0'd Ryan, which happens very rarely, and Kenny got a 6-0. So I think there's not that much needs to be said about these teams. Ray, you played really good. Really good. There's a reason why you're number 1 and Kenny's not, or David, because you got a 5-0. David played a really good team with a really good trainer and still got the win. It was a convincing win. It was like a 2-0, but like I don't think it would have gotten any closer than that. Just like looking at how the match ended. And I mean, Kenny got a 6-0, but he played the worst of the week. But a clean sweep is a clean sweep with a good team. So, GG, that is the power rankings for this week. Next week should be Ryan running them. I'll be on vacation, so keep out for that.